Hey everybody, good morning. We'll talk about the veins. In last class, we talked about the arterial system, right? The arteries. Today, we'll talk about the venous system and we'll see the major veins in your body. One thing you already know that arteries take the blood away from the heart. So what happens, the large arteries give branches, blood to the small arteries. So always from large arteries, blood goes to the small arteries like this. You have seen that, right? In case of venous system, it is opposite. The smaller veins give blood to the larger veins. So like smaller veins give blood to the larger veins. So opposite. That's why in case of arterial system, when arteries arise from larger artery, we say branches. Like these are the branches. These are the branches of this artery, right? This is big artery. These are the branches. In case of venous system, we say tributaries. Okay? Tributaries give blood to the larger veins. Okay? In case of arterial system, branches. In case of venous system, we say tributaries. So these are the tributaries of this vein. Okay? Just know that. So opposite direction. Smaller veins give blood to the larger veins and larger veins bring blood towards the heart, right? And two largest veins are what? Superior inferior vena cava. They give blood to the heart, right atrium of the heart, right? Deoxygenated blood. Just keep that in mind. So
the biggest veins are the superior and inferior veins.
Inferior vena cava are the biggest or largest veins, and they go directly to the right atrium of the heart, right? Deoxygenated blood. Superior vena cava, look at me. Superior vena cava collects deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body, gives to the right atrium. Inferior vena cava collects blood from the lower part of the body and gives to the right atrium. Here, you see in this picture, this is inferior vena cava, this is superior vena cava. Both go to the heart, right atrium of the heart. Okay. First, let's see the superior vena cava. Superior vena cava divides into two brachiocephalic veins. So this is the superior vena cava, divides into left and right brachiocephalic vein. This is also brachiocephalic vein. This is right brachiocephalic, this is left brachiocephalic. Okay? But always remember, blood goes to this direction, from smaller to the larger. So we can say that superior vena cava receives blood from right and left brachiocephalic veins. Make sense? Okay. Then, brachiocephalic vein receives blood from two large veins. One is subclavian, so this is brachiocephalic, this one. This is called subclavian vein, and this is internal jugular vein. Okay? So subclavian and internal jugular. Okay? And then from the early part of subclavian, three veins arise. Vertebral vein, external jugular vein, and another is the internal jugular is always there, is already there, internal jugular. So two important veins. One is external jugular, another is vertebral. So vertebral is this one, vertebral is this one, vertebral vein, and this is the external jugular vein. Okay, so this is how the venous system in this part works. So let's review. Okay, so this is superior vena cava from right atrium. Blood goes into right atrium from superior vena cava. Superior vena cava receives blood from right and left brachiocephalic vein. This is right, this is left brachiocephalic vein. So we can say superior vena cava divides into right and left brachiocephalic vein. Make sense? Okay, then let's see brachiocephalic. Brachiocephalic divides into internal jugular and subclavian. So this is subclavian, this one, and this is internal jugular. They give blood to the brachiocephalic vein. Okay, and then subclavian. You see, this is subclavian now. Subclavian receives blood from vertebral vein and external jugular. Because you got internal jugular here directly from brachiocephalic, but not external. External gives blood to the subclavian. Okay, so those are the major veins in this part. Same thing here. You see, this is left brachiocephalic, so it will give left internal jugular, left subclavian, then from here vertebral, left external jugular. Okay, exactly same in both sides. Okay, then subclavian. Subclavian means what? Under the clavicle. Remember in last class I said under the clavicle. That means it will go towards the upper limb. Makes sense? Subclavian. And internal and external jugular will go towards the head. Makes sense? Because they are going this way. So internal, external jugular go towards the head, and subclavian under the clavicle towards the arm. Make sense? Okay. So let's first talk about the subclavian. Subclavian, it is like artery. Subclavian artery goes to the armpit and becomes what?
Axillary.
Axillary. Very good. Axillary vein, it is like arterial system. Then it enters into the arm. This area is called what? Brachial, right? So it will become brachial vein. These are same as arterial system, subclavian, axillary in the armpit, in the arm, brachial. But in case of venous system, in your arm, brachial is one main vein, but there are two more. In case of arterial, we have only brachial is the large artery in the arm, but in case of veins, you have brachial, but two other veins arise from the axillary. You see here. This is the brachial, and these two other. One is called cephalic, and another is called basilic vein. So now let's see. You see the axillary, right, in the armpit. Subclavian becomes axillary, then cephalic, brachial, basilic. Okay, so this is brachial, this is cephalic, and this is basilic. Okay, so three in the arm. Is it clear? Okay. Now these two, cephalic and basilic, just remember, are superficial veins. superficial veins. That means they are just very superficially under the skin. And brachial is the deep vein. So in case of venous system, you have two types of veins, superficial and deep. Some veins are just under the skin, you can see, right? From the surface of the body, from outside you can see the veins in some locations, right? Some people are more clear. Those are superficial veins, and some veins are in the deeper part of the tissue, deep veins. So here in the arm, you got 3 veins, okay? Then let's see. When the cephalic and basilic come in this area, antecubital, in front of elbow, they are connected by a short vein in front of the elbow. You know, this is antecubital area. So that vein is called cubital vein. Cubital vein. Median cubital vein. Here. You see cephalic, basilic, and they are connected by median cubital vein. Okay. So it is like this. This is cephalic, comes down, basilic, and they are connected by a vein that is called the median cubital vein in front of what? Elbow, this area. And this vein is used in most of the cases, you know, when you go to do the blood lab test, they collect the blood from this vein, right? From this area. Median cubital vein is the vein from where most of the time the blood is collected for the lab test, for the lab. Okay, then cephalic and basilic, they continue, go all the way to the palm. Now let's see the brachial. Brachial is like artery, brachial artery. Brachial vein divides into radial and ulnar in the forearm, like your brachial artery. Okay? So you see here, deep vein, brachial vein, it divides into radial, in the radial side, thumb side, and ulnar vein in the medial side. So then in the palm, they form arches, arch-like veins. So those are palmar arches. Okay? We'll see those. Just know that from the arches, digital veins arise. Okay? So that is the upper limb. I'm repeating again quickly. Subclavian becomes axillary, and from axillary we get cephalic and basilic. Those are superficial or deep? Superficial. And axillary continues as a deep artery, that is the brachial artery. So in your arm, you get 2 superficial, 1 deep. Then in front of elbow, cephalic and basilic, they are connected by a short vein that is called what? Median cubital vein. Now let's see brachial. Brachial, the deep vein, divides into radial and ulnar. Okay? Cephalic and basilic go to the palm and palm arches. From there, digital are veins. Okay. Now let's see the internal and external jugular and vertebral. Those 3 you see here. Internal jugular, vertebral, external jugular. All 3 are going upwards from both sides, left and right, and go towards the head. Now you tell me, internal should give blood to the inner part of the head or outer part of the head? Internal. Inner, right? So most of the venous blood from the brain is given to the internal. Make sense? And external, it's like internal and external carotid arteries. You remember that, right? So external jugular vein or veins, in both sides you have, so two, they receive deoxygenated blood from, mostly from the outer structures of the head. Okay? Like your covering of the brain, meninges, your skull, your bones and muscles. Very simple. So you have internal jugular, external jugular. And vertebral also receives blood from the brain, deoxygenated blood. So in case of venous system, internal jugular and vertebral mostly receive blood from the deoxygenated blood from the brain. And in case of arterial system, you must remember I mentioned few times in last class that internal carotid and vertebral. So the difference here is jugular and carotid. Make sense? That in venous system you have jugular, in arterial system you have carotid. Make sense? Vertebral is in both. Okay? Okay, so now we'll see the inferior vena cava. This is the inferior vena cava. It gives blood to the right atrium too, deoxygenated blood, and it passes through the diaphragm, okay, enters into the abdominal cavity, okay, and similar to the aorta. You remember aorta is the large artery here, abdominal aorta. Inferior vena cava is similar in your venous system. So it receives blood from kidneys, it receives blood from liver, it receives blood from suprarenal glands or adrenal glands, gonads, all those organs give blood to the inferior vena cava. Okay? So we already know from kidneys, deoxygenated blood should enter into inferior vena cava via the renal veins. Renal veins bring deoxygenated blood from the kidneys into inferior vena cava. Hepatic vein from the liver to the vena cava. Splenic vein from the spleen to vena cava. Gonadal veins from the gonads, testes and ovaries into the inferior vena cava. Okay? So those are very similar to your arterial system. There are a couple of differences. I'll talk about that later. Okay? So that's the inferior vena cava. It receives blood from most of the abdominal organs. Then the lower end of inferior vena cava, you see, divides into common iliac veins, same as aorta. Common iliac veins. And common, I mentioned in last class, divides into usually external and what? Internal. So, same way, common iliac, right and left, will divide into external and internal. You see here, this is the external one, this is common, and then this is external, the big one, goes to the thigh, and internal is smaller. It's like same as artery, and receives deoxygenated blood from the pelvic organs here. Okay? Now see the external. External becomes femoral, like artery. But here, the longest vein of your body arises from the, upper part of femoral. You see femoral? From the upper part of femoral, this is the longest vein of the body. In terms of length, vena cava, those are large, big. But in terms of length, great Saphenous vein, okay? From very upper part of the thigh, or femoral vein, you see it goes all the way down to the foot. Okay? Great Saphenous vein. Okay? And this is the femoral. Femoral, when it goes to the back of the knee area, it becomes popliteal, okay, and then it gives anterotibial, fibula, and another one in the leg, which you didn't see in the arterial system, that is small saphenous vein. So in case of your leg, you have saphenous, extra, great saphenous, small saphenous. In case of arteries, you did not see any saphenous artery, remember? No saphenous artery. But in case of your leg in venous system, you have saphenous, great saphenous, small saphenous. You have to just think that way, right? Which one is there in arterial and venous? Most of the things are common, right? Names, but there are some differences. You have to, in case of your upper limb, which ones were not present in arterial system but present in the venous? Cephalic and basilic. Remember? Brachial is in both arterial system and venous system. So in case of your leg, great saphenous, small saphenous veins, right? No artery, no great saphenous, small saphenous artery. Okay? Okay. So we'll see. So that's the idea, okay? In general, that's the venous system. And in the foot, you see they form arches. So again, I'm reminding that in case of venous system, the branches are called what? Tributaries. Okay? So tributaries give blood to the larger veins. Okay? So like these are tributaries giving blood to this large vein. Okay?
So branches and tributaries are the same thing.
Basically.
Okay.
Yes. Direction of flow is opposite, right? The blood flow is in opposite direction. Okay. So when we will talk about the venous system, we will say digital veins give blood to the arches, arches give blood to the, right, cephalic, basilic, and that way, towards the heart. Here you see the same thing, but in more clear, larger picture. This is superior vena cava. They have shown one brachiocephaly. The other is this way. Okay, so superior vena cava, we know, divides into two brachiocephalic. They have shown only one side, okay, one side. So this is brachiocephalic. This is brachiocephalic, subclavian, internal jugular, vertebral, external jugular. Okay. You see, internal jugular mostly goes into the brain. This is the internal jugular. The large part of it goes inside the skull. There are small branches go to the outside. Here you see again superior vena cava, right and left brachiocephalic, and then subclavian, internal jugular, external jugular. Again same thing. Now let's see the upper limb. You see subclavian under the clavicle, right? And then becomes axillary vein. And from axillary you see cephalic laterally and basilic medial. The front of the elbow, they are connected by median cubital vein. Okay? And then they go towards the palm. Now this is the brachial vein, divides into, this is deep, that's why you don't see kind of light color. That's the radial, and this is the ulnar. Okay? And radial and ulnar, they join together to form superficial palmar arch, and from there the digital go to the fingers, digits. This is the abdominal aorta. You see the diaphragm, the top. This is the diaphragm. So abdominal aorta passes through diaphragm, enters into the abdominal. Sorry, not abdominal, inferior vena cava. Passes through the diaphragm, enters into the abdominal cavity. And where it receives blood from the liver through hepatic veins. Okay, hepatic veins. From kidneys to the renal veins. Makes sense. Now see, one thing is different here than arterial system. In case of arterial system, aorta receives blood directly from right and left adrenal or suprarenal glands. But in case of venous system, this, remember, this is slightly different. What is different? From right adrenal gland or suprarenal gland, inferior vena cava receives blood directly through the suprarenal vein. But in case of left, you see, this left suprarenal vein doesn't directly go to the inferior vena cava. It gives blood to the left renal vein. Then renal vein takes blood to the inferior vena cava. Make sense? So it is not direct. One is direct, another is through the renal vein. Okay, so this is something different here. Why, we don't know. Okay. Then is the gonadal. That's good. And mesenteric veins. You also have the show here. Okay. So just remember, those are some veins in the abdominal cavity. Then the lower end of inferior vena cava divides into common iliac. So this is right common iliac, left common iliac. Okay. Then common iliac divides into external, which is much bigger than internal. Okay. So common is from here to here. Then external, then internal. Okay. When it divides, there is no more common. Okay. External iliac goes to the thigh and it becomes femoral vein. But you remember, I said a very long vein arises from the upper part of femoral. That is the great Saphenous vein. See here. Goes all the way to the foot. Okay, and femoral becomes popliteal. Okay, becomes popliteal vein. This one, and then the popliteal divides into small Saphenous here, anterior tibial, posterior tibial, as well as fibular. So those are 4 veins here. You can see here clearly. Okay. So let's see. Popliteal. Okay, in the back of the knee. Then popliteal, from popliteal, you see small Saphenous is the first branch. This one. Small Saphenous. Okay. And then popliteal divides into 2. Anterior tibial, posterior tibial. You see. Anterior tibial, and this is posterior tibial. And from posterior tibial, you see fibular vein arises. So those are the veins in your leg. Some are very same as artery, like anterior tibial artery, posterior tibial artery, fibular artery. Those are also present in the arterial system, right? Named after the bones there. Anterior tibial, posterior tibial, and fibula. Which is different? Small Saphenous vein. In case of arterial system, you don't have that. You don't have Saphenous. Okay. So those are the veins of your leg. But also, you know that great Saphenous goes all the way to the foot, right? So great Saphenous also passes through the leg. Make sense? So those are the veins of your leg. Then you see here, the posterior tibial goes to the plantar surface of the foot. That means the sole, towards the sole, not the dorsal surface, towards the sole of the foot, and divides into palmar veins, and they join to form the arch, deep palmar arch. And from there, you get the digital veins.
What is the vein that you can see on your forearm? That long one. What is that vein?
That's the which one? would be not the radial, not the ulnar.
Antebrachial?
Which one?
Median antebrachial?
Median antebrachial vein, yes, that's right. Median antebrachial also we have artery and vein, yeah. That's right. Hepatic portal system. Hepatic portal system is the circulation between the liver and the intestine. Liver and the intestine. As I have mentioned before, from your intestine, this is the intestine, okay, or GI tract, okay. Nutrients are taken to the liver. So this is the liver, okay, this is the liver, okay. So from your GI tract, the veins that take blood to the liver, those are called hepatic portal veins. And that circulation between GI tract and the liver is called hepatic portal circulation. Circulation. Okay? So, these are portal veins or hepatic portal veins. But remember, what kind of blood is going from here to here? Nutrient rich blood, because from intestine, the food we eat, right? Nutrients are first taken to the, most of the nutrients are first taken to the liver. So those are the veins taking. Now, the difference between the hepatic vein and hepatic portal vein, they are not same. First thing, hepatic veins and hepatic portal vein not same. Let's go back. Hepatic veins, you see, brings deoxygenated blood from the liver to the inferior vena cava. Hepatic veins bring what? Deoxygenated blood from the liver to the inferior vena cava. Is it clear? Hepatic veins. But hepatic portal vein brings, that's different, brings nutrient-rich blood from the intestine to the liver. So not same, okay? Hepatic portal and hepatic, they are different. So why actually it is one vein finally? So one large vein here, okay? One large vein. Now, why it is called portal? If you see in your body, two capillary sets, two sets of capillary. In your GI tract you have capillaries here, and from these capillaries blood go to the hepatic portal vein, and in your liver you also have capillary beds. So here you have capillary beds, here you have capillary beds, okay? And two capillary beds are connected by the vein, and that is called the portal. In few other areas you also have portal circulation, but two sets of capillaries are connected by a vein. Okay, that's why we say portal. Usually what happens, you all know. Usually this is the artery, small artery is called arterial, from capillary bed, then enters into the venule, right? Then larger vein. So you see, that is the capillary. But in case of portal, here you have a capillary bed, here you have capillary bed, and in between you have portal. Okay, make sense? So it's different. Here you see the hepatic portal vein going to the liver from your GI tract. Let's see. This is the stomach, small intestine, large intestine. So you see, from all these parts of your GI tract or gastrointestinal tract, branches are going to the portal vein, hepatic portal vein. And that is taking blood to the liver. So collecting nutrients from your GI tract and giving to the liver. We know already from stomach, gastric vein, from small intestine, mainly superior mesenteric, from large intestine, mainly inferior mesenteric. You remember in last class I said superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric, intestine, from intestine mesenteric artery, veins take the blood. From upper part of intestine, which is mainly superior intestine, right? Small intestine, and lower part of intestine is usually the large intestine, right? Mostly. So, superior mesenteric from small intestine, inferior mesenteric from large intestine, okay? And from stomach, gastric. Stomach, gastric means stomach. Make sense? You have the arteries same, gastric artery, superior mesenteric artery, inferior mesenteric artery, okay? So, that is the hepatic portal circulation. Okay, so that's the veins of your body. Now we'll see the capillaries. Capillaries are the exchange vessels, blood vessels through which exchange of chemicals take place. Exchange of nutrients, gases, okay, metabolic waste, those chemicals pass through the capillary wall. We'll see the types of capillaries. There are different types of capillaries. We'll see the structure of a capillary bed, okay. We'll see differences between arteries and veins, blood pressure, regulation of blood pressure. This one we already talked in last class. Okay. So, three types of capillaries are present in the body: continuous capillaries, fenestrated capillaries, and sinusoidal capillaries. So this is capillary, you see, arterial, capillary, venue. Okay, so capillary. Okay. And if you have tissue here, oxygen gets out from capillary blood, goes to the tissue, carbon dioxide from tissue goes to the capillary blood, nutrients come out, goes to the tissue, right? Nutrient goes to the tissue, and metabolic waste enter into the capillary. So let me write it down here, that is important. So this is a capillary bed, okay? So tissue around, this is tissue. Now you all know tissue needs what? Continuously oxygen, right? We know our tissue continuously needs what? As well as nutrients. You take those two things every day, all the time from outside, right? Oxygen and food, nutrients. Those are the things we take regularly, right? So, why? Because your tissue needs those two things. So, from the capillary blood, oxygen and nutrients. Go to the tissue. Is it clear? Now, metabolism of tissue produces what? Carbon dioxide, right? Carbon dioxide and metabolic wastes, other metabolic waste. Those should stay or get out? Get out. Carbon dioxide, toxic chemicals should get out, right? So, from the tissue, they enter into the capillary blood, okay? Carbon dioxide and metabolic wastes, okay? Opposite direction. Oxygen and nutrients go to the tissue from the capillary blood, makes sense? and carbon dioxide and wastes enter into the capillary blood from the tissue. So now you tell me, in the capillary, when blood gives oxygen to the tissue and receives carbon dioxide from the tissue, right? Blood becomes what? Oxygenated or deoxygenated? Deoxygenated, right? So in the capillary, oxygenated blood gradually becomes what? Deoxygenated. Make sense? And that deoxygenated blood from capillary then should go to the artery or vein? Deoxygenated blood. The veins, right? So oxygenated blood comes from the artery to the capillary system. Oxygenated blood gives oxygen to the tissue, receives carbon dioxide, becomes deoxygenated, and deoxygenated blood enters into the veins. Okay? Veins will take the blood to the heart. 3 types of capillaries: continuous, fenestrated, and sinusoidal. How they are different? They are different because the holes or fenestrations or pores present in the wall are different in 3 different types of capillaries. Is it clear? The holes or pores are different. In continuous, the pores are very small. In case of fenestrated, larger than continuous. In case of sinusoidal, very large. Make sense? Very big. More porous. So, continuous are less porous, fenestrated are more, and sinusoidal are most. Make sense? Porous. Let the chemicals of fluid pass. First, let's see the continuous capillaries. Many tight junctions connect the endothelial cells. That means in the wall of continuous capillary, the cells are connected by tight junctions. Is it clear? So if they are connected by tight junctions, the wall will be less porous. Make sense? Less porous. Will not let everything get out easily. So only small solutes and fluid can pass through the wall. Only very small solutes. Where you find continuous? In the skin and muscles. In the skin and muscles. But also in the brain, you have continuous capillaries, but in the brain, the continuous capillary is different than the continuous capillaries in the skin and muscle. Why they are different? Because in the brain, continuous capillaries are less porous than the skin and muscles, which is very important because you know that brain tissue is what? Very sensitive, right? Brain tissue is very sensitive. So that's why the continuous capillaries in your brain is less porous. Make sense? So toxic chemicals will not be able to get out from the blood and will not be able to harm the brain. Make sense? It is more protected. If the pores are big, then some toxic chemicals, metabolic waste, right, will get out and will cause harm to the neurons because neurons are highly sensitive. So it is more protected. Yes.
Are you saying that with like continuous capillaries that the pores are smaller, or that there are less of them?
There is another extra layer around it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the continuous capillary in the skin and muscle. You have tiny pores, okay, in the skin and muscle. But in the brain, this is continuous capillary. One type of brain cells, those are called the neuroglial cells. When we'll talk about that, you'll see they send processes like this and form extra layer around them. Okay, so it's like you have another layer around the continuous capillary in the brain. That's why it is less porous. Okay, and that is called the blood-brain barrier. This wall of continuous capillary in the brain is called blood-brain barrier. Very simple. Inside the capillary you have what? Blood, right? And outside you have the neurons, brain tissue in the brain. So this is brain tissue and this is blood. So this wall of continuous capillary is called blood-brain barrier, the barrier between the blood and the brain. Make sense? Which is less porous. Just for now, know that it is less permeable. Less permeable. This is the structure of a continuous capillary. You see, these are endothelial cells, flat squamous type cells. See, flat